What's up, Badger fans? The offensive line depth has gotten a lot better in the last couple weeks, in the last week. Is it good enough? Did they solve that problem? Let's talk about it on Locked On Badgers.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. Quick episode, but definitely wanted to talk about a couple really interesting additions to the team. Also say thank you to everybody who is tuning in, who will watch the show later. Thank you guys so much, guys and gals, so much for helping make this one of the better Badger communities on the internet, making it better to be a Badger fan. We do that collaboratively as a community, so thank you for being a part of that. And one of my favorite things we get to do on this show is we get to do this.
Fire the recruiting cannons. Another one is headed to Madison on Wisconsin.
So we could have fired that times two, because since we last did the show, we picked up a transfer offensive lineman and we also picked up a 2025 kid. Let's start with the 2025 player, Cameron Clark. Big 6'7", 6'8"-ish, 290-pound tackle out of Michigan. His recruiting profile has him at 6'7", 275, but actually looking at his Twitter profile and reading some more about him, it looks like he's 6'7", 290 already. The huddle film for him is really good. So let's start up here. Let's put the offer list up and all that. So 2025 target Cameron Clark, pretty solid offer list. Cincinnati, Minnesota, Duke, Kentucky. Nothing crazy. He's a composite 3-star. I think the offer list backs up that composite 3-star. There's no real blue blood offers on there. There's areas he needs to get better. I was watching the junior film. It looks like he's put on weight since then, because you watch that film, he reminds me in ways of Garrett Sexton, just in the fact that he needs to put on more weight. The in-state offensive lineman at Penn State took, a guy I really liked. I don't think he's quite as mobile and agile as Sexton, but he moves really well in space for a 6'7" guy. There's a couple clips of him getting to that second level incredibly easily. And then a lot of offensive linemen can get there, but then they can't wall off a more agile, quicker defender, or they have to hold because they're not quite agile and limber enough in space with the arms and the legs, being that type of big guy. He's pretty good in space. He can wall off second level defenders. He has a great clip where he's leading a running back. He's kind of the guy leading the play, and he gets two players. He has that requisite. We always talk about it. He pancakes a guy and then he gets back on him, pushes him again. You do like seeing the edginess and the chippiness with offensive linemen. I think that translates. So I really like this pickup. He still has to get bigger, and offensive linemen are incredibly hard to project. It's hard to know how they're going to play when they add 20 more pounds of weight. Like most offensive linemen, you can say this about 95% of offensive linemen come from the high school ranks. Like, there's some technique stuff. He gets really high sometimes, but he does it because he can. Like, he's going to have to sink lower. I think it's something Justin mentioned too, doing a breakdown of him. He's going to have to sink a little bit lower. There's some plays where he just fires out of his stance and gets up almost like a sprinter. And it's like, bro, you got to get down a little bit. But it's harder to do that at the high school level for a 6'7" offensive lineman when a lot of the players they're playing aren't that size. So they can get away with it. There's some habits there that'll have to get fixed, but I really like the tools. First of all, you can't teach 6'7" with long arms and movement skills. He's a tackle. He's very much a left tackle, in my opinion. He's very much a guy who I think is going to move well in space. He's probably going to put on enough weight and end up at like 305, 310 with some pretty good movement skills. It's the technique stuff. It's what's between the ears. If those things come along as well, I think you have a potential left tackle in a couple of years. He's not a play right away guy. He's not going to be you put him into the too deep right away guy, because he's going to have to get stronger and work on that technique. But it's a good pickup. I like it. So Cameron Clark jumps on board. The other guy, and this guy's been talked about for a little while, Joey Okla comes back to Wisconsin, former Arrowhead kid, 3-star composite coming out of high school, committed to Illinois. It was there for 2 years, so he's got 3 years of eligibility left. This one is really a nice pickup to me because he's coming in as a preferred walk-on, right? So he's coming in as a PWO. He entered the portal. It felt like he was fishing for offers. Could I get a bigger one? He didn't get maybe what he was necessarily looking for from a scholarship standpoint. So he's joining Wisconsin as a PWO, which it's phenomenal. Anytime you can get quality players as PWOs without using a scholarship, that's an absolute no-brainer. And we've seen the roadmap for so many in-state players, in-state kids that are preferred walk-ons that really have successful careers here. So you like all of that. And then the other thing you really like about him is he really fits what you need from a depth standpoint right now going into next season. This is the second transfer offensive lineman we picked up. All right. Obviously, Leighton Nelson is the longer, bigger guy. He's probably more of a tackle. The kid we got from Vanderbilt, the young man we got from Vanderbilt, he's more of a swing tackle. And Okla's more of an interior guy. He's shorter, built a little closer to the ground, about 6'3", 310 pounds. He's an interior guy, both guard positions. So with the 2 transfer pickups, you've really covered about 4 spots on the offensive line in depth, the 2 guard spots and the 2 tackle spots. This was one of the biggest concerns coming into the season, not just for me, for a lot of people, right? For a lot of beat writers. You talk about the depth on the offensive line. Now, Okla's not a star. Nelson's not a star. But they're serviceable offensive linemen that you can plug in probably and feel like you can get away with some coverage for spurts in a game or spurts in the season. If, I don't know, if a Brunner gets hurt for a little while or if a Mahlman gets hurt for a little while. Now you have internal options that have college experience at real programs that you feel like I can maybe slot these players in and not have a huge drop-off. I think it's really important. I think these are 2 solid depth pickups that can help this year with one of the biggest concerns on the offensive line. And then Cameron Clark, you have a 6'7" projectable athlete on the edge that might end up being a left tackle or right tackle. I probably think he's more suited to being a left tackle. I think the body type is going to be better with the quicker pass rushers. I don't think he's going to be quite the run blocker that a lot of the traditional right tackles have been. I also don't think that's as big of a deal nowadays as it used to be. Let's see. We got a couple comments here. Let's get into it. But I like all this. The offensive line needed help. This still needs to be an offensive line class. You got Reski on board. Now you got Clark on board. They need probably a couple more because this depth on the line still needs to be rebuilt. This is a really big cycle this year for offensive line, just like last year was. But I really like what they've done to bolster the depth for this year with the 2 transfer pickups. I think both of them fit a potential need from a depth standpoint. I don't know if they're anything more than that, but if you don't have that, if you don't have any depth, really, getting some depth is a step in the right direction. It's going to help you survive the season because you're going to lose dudes. You're going to need reps. You're going to need a jumbo offensive tackle. You're going to need backups. And by the way, like a really underrated aspect of getting a little more depth on the offensive line, you increase the practice quality, right? The second and third string quarterbacks actually have some offensive linemen on the second and third string offensive lines now that can help them, that can provide more protection for them, that can provide some semblance of normalcy for them. You're providing more competition for the second and third string defensive linemen, right? It's just more competition. It's better depth. You can't go wrong with it, especially as a PWO. So I really like both of those pickups. I think it helps bolster the depth, and I think I would say the depth for this season is now serviceable. I don't know if it's not great. It's still not great, but I think we can take a deep breath and be like, okay, I think we can survive an injury or maybe 2 on the offensive line, and it won't completely go to crap, right? And that's a big deal. Let's bang some comments here. Bo Dragon says, "What's up, Bo? Man, Bo's a good dude, man. I love Bo. I'm trying to learn Playing God by Polyphia on guitar. I got to be honest, Bo, I have no idea what that sentence means. Is Polyphia a band, I'm guessing? But he says it's more frustrating than watching a guard coach team. Bo. Badger Bournemouth says, has the size, hope he develops. Yeah. And listen, with offensive linemen, defensive linemen, you just have to get projectable bodies in there because they're all going to develop at different paces. It's really hard. Like it's really hard to know how guys are going to act and play when they put 20 or 30 more pounds on them, right? It's hard. The 5-star guys, you don't have to project it. The 3-star linemen, you just got to get athletic body types and then trust the strength and development programs, trust the coaches. By the way, I think we're really good in both those aspects. I think you get projectable athletes and then you hand them over to Brady Collins and you say, go to work. I think it's going to work. I think that's a formula that's going to have success at Wisconsin. It is a formula that had success at Cincinnati. So this is a player in Cameron Clark that has the size and the wingspan and the foot speed and the athletic traits of a really good tackle. But he needs to refine technique. He's a little more raw, which is why the grade's a little lower. And he needs to get bigger, right? He's going to have to put on 20, 30 pounds. So there's things that need to happen for his development path, but those are both things that can happen in Madison. And there are things that are somewhat under his control and the coaching staff's control. So I agree with you, Badger Bournemouth. He's just got to develop. Let's go. Nader99 says, when we fire a guard, I want to sound the cannons episode. I don't have a sound for when we fire somebody. Nick Flav, what's up, man? That's another good dude. Haven't been able to catch a live show in a while. Have to leave, though. Dude, come on. Ryan Hepting says, where's Justin? I don't know where Justin is right now. He's probably at the gym. Putting up some weight. That dude's a freight train, man. I did talk to him today, though. He likes the Clark pickup as well. Robert Sorensen says, the NFL draft is going on right now. I am recording it. I'm going to go back and watch it. My Phoenix Suns start pretty soon, too. But I wanted to get a quick show out with just the commitments and talk a little bit about why I think these are really nice pickups for the offensive line. I'm pretty excited about it. Let's keep going here. Nick Flav says, Barrett Nelson, Leighton Nelson, the best backup tackle duo in the Big Ten. I need to know more about other teams' depth charts before I state that kind of stuff. But Bruce Walker says backups for guard tackle is great. Big question is, who is the backup for center that bit us last year? Yeah, Bruce, that's a great point, man. I think we've added depth at the guard and tackle spot. I don't know. Okla's not going to step in and play center if Renfrow goes down. Again, like, knock on wood, Renfrow's a guy much like Chez Mellusi who deserves to be healthy, and hopefully the football gods will allow that to happen, right? And if he does, then you just don't have to worry about it. I think if there is an injury, Huber or maybe a Brunner slides over. James Duran was brought in as a center, but he's really kind of shifted out of that role. I think they have a couple internal options, and they'll just have to kind of duct tape it together if Renfrow gets hurt. But hopefully he just doesn't, and that's kind of where we're at. All right, we're going to wrap it up there. Again, this was just a quick show, but really want to talk about Okla coming in, paired with Nelson. I think that has done a lot to fix the depth issues we had. And then I really like Cameron Clark. He's not an elite top of the board like offensive tackle, like a 4. There's a reason he's not a 4 or 5-star guy. There's technique and developmental stuff that needs to happen, but I think there's the physical tools there that if it in 2 years, in 3 years, if he's really developed into a very quality tackle, I'm not going to be surprised at all by it because I think he has those type of physical traits. Anyway, on Wisconsin, really do appreciate y'all. If you want to join the Badger Discord, there is a banner on the bottom right down there. There it is. It is just free Badger talk. It's a community for people who interact on the show. A lot of the people in the chat are always in the Discord as well. You'll see Justin in there, Rajiv in there, other people in there. There's no Gophers, no politics, just about everything else goes. So if you are interested, come join the Discord. But aside from that, on Wisconsin, and we'll talk later.